الله أكبر. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي العظيم. سبحان ربي العظيم. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. استغفر الله استغفر الله استغفر الله. اللهم أنت السلام ومنك السلام، تباركت يا ذا الجلال والإكرام. لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، له الملك وله الحمد وهو على كل شيء قدير. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. لا إله إلا الله ولا نعوذ بالله إيانا نعمة
Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, brothers and sisters. Inshallah, we will start shortly in few minutes after Khatm al-Salah, the first workshop, Finding Your Soulmate by Dr. Abdurrahman Hijazi, inshallah. So brothers and sisters, inshallah, the workshop will be here. It's the first workshop out of 3. The second one will be in January. The third one will be in February, inshallah. And sisters, you are more than welcome, inshallah, to join us here, inshallah, after Khatm al-Salah. So we'll start shortly. This program is also live streamed. Jazakumullah khair. Assalamu alaikum.
They didn't hear that? Okay. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. For those of you who didn't hear me, now I have to use the microphone. I just say welcome everyone. And there's water in the back, so please do help yourself. We'll get started shortly, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum. If we have sisters on the sisters musalla, you can join us here, inshallah, in the main musalla. You have a dedicated place for you. We have a separate seating, so you join us there, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah wa salatu salamu ala rasulullah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa mawala. My sincere apologies. This is the first time we do Zoom, YouTube, and Facebook at the same time, and also in person. So my name is Abdurrahman Hijazi. I'm going to, inshallah, spend the coming 2 hours almost work on this workshop. The title of the series of the workshop is Journey with My Soulmate, and it's composed of 3 workshops. This is the first one, and part 1 is Finding My Soulmate. And then next to that, inshallah, is when we will be talking about becoming a righteous parent. So that's when you were able to find your soulmate. And then after that, how to maintain a happy and blessed family life, inshallah. So those are the 3 components. So this one is the first one, finding my soulmate, not finding my soulmate. And inshallah, January we'll be doing part 2, and then February we'll be doing part 3. The way I'm going to divide this is in 2 modules. I want to have a break in the middle. I know we have started late, so we probably are going to shift everything for a few minutes, inshallah. And we may need to squeeze things because we have to stop for Salat al-Asr. And Salat al-Asr here is at 4 o'clock. I don't know if we may just take a few minutes before 4 or after 4 in order to finish and wrap up things, inshallah. Okay, so before I start, any question, any comment, any suggestion, inshallah? Okay, so I would love to keep this very interactive. The purpose of this is really to make sure that we are all, inshallah, able to think about what it makes for a person to find the righteous spouse. And when I say righteous spouse, I'm talking more from the Islamic perspective. Perhaps there are multiple things to this, including, for example, knowing about psychology, knowing about best practices, knowing about customs, and things of that nature, which I am not going to talk about. I'm only trying to focus here on the Islamic perspective of things. And I know that marriage is a very loaded term. It has a lot to talk about. I'm not specialized in everything of that, so I just limit my experience, inshallah, to the religious aspect of this. So any questions, inshallah, before we start? Okay. But again, please feel free to stop me at any point in time and just ask questions. And for those who are on the Zoom, if you have questions, just raise your hand or send a text, inshallah. Okay, so let's just get into some intro here. Marriage is an act of worship, and of course this is something that we need to understand, that marriage is not just for sexual entertainment. It's not just to have a partner in this life and be more socially entertained. It's actually an act of worship in itself. And from the very first moment that a person get married all the way until they pass away, this, if the person has the right intention and has the right experience, then every single moment of their life is an act of worship, and they will be rewarded for it. Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam was asked once about what type of acts that a person can do to get rewarded, and among the things he said that even intercourse is an act of worship if it is meant in the right way. So the Sahaba radiallahu anhum have asked him, Ya Rasulullah, even to that extent? He said, what do you think if a person does that in a haram way? Wouldn't that be punished? They all said yes. He said, then if the person does it in the halal, permissible way, in the way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made it for the human, then the person will be rewarded for it. And here is the thing, that in Islam, when we talk about marriage, it's a full package. It's not just that sexual part. And that, I hope that we always have in that mind, that in our minds. And remember this ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ أَنْ جَعَلَ لَكُم مِّنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ أَزْوَاجًا, that from among His signs, subhanahu wa ta'ala, is that He created for you from yourselves mates, لِتَسْكُنُوا إِلَيْهَا, so that you find tranquility with them. وَجَعَلَ بَيْنَكُمْ مَوَدَّةً وَرَحْمَةً, and He placed between you affection and mercy. So the long-term relationship is really based on mercy, tranquility, and having affection between the two parties. And yes, all the other things would come maybe in parallel, but they are not meant for themselves. What is really meant for itself is the overall relationship that comes with tranquility, affection, and mercy. Now, we also have to realize that marriage is also a test and a trust. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said in Surah Al-Kahf, anyone can remind me with this ayah? إِنَّا جَعَلْنَا مَعَ الْأَرْضِ زِينَةً لَهَا لِنَبْلُوَهُمْ أَيُّهُمْ أَحْسَنُ عَمَلًا. That verily we have made everything on this earth a beauty and adornment for it, but this is as a test for people. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave you health, and it is a test. Allah gave you wealth, and it is a test. Allah gave you a partner, and it is a test. So it is, on one side, it is a test that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving you, and on another side, it is something to enjoy and to have a comfortable life with. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala isn't trusting you to do the best with the amana that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bestow on your shoulder. Any question? Okay. So role models, this is very important, because sometimes a person would ask, so tell me, what does an ideal marriage look like? And that is a crucial question. I mean, we need to have an example of what a successful marriage in Islam looks like. And again, marriage here, I'm not talking about the psychological or social and other aspects of it. I'm more talking from the religious side. And the religious side has not changed from the time of Rasulullah ﷺ all the way to our time. So when we look at how the Sahaba radiallahu anhum lived their lives in marriage, that we can take a lot of lessons from there and apply it to our life. And among the two most important lessons is the relationship between him, Prophet Muhammad, and his first wife, Khadija. Also there is him sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his wife Aisha after the death of Khadija. There's also the example of his daughter Fatima radiallahu anha and her marriage with Ali radiallahu anhu arda. And if you were, inshallah, hopefully we can have enough time to talk about any of these relationships and all the nice things. But I want you to just, perhaps, I want you to live with me a few incidents of the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam with Khadija. And I want to give you two incidents. One incident is that he sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when Khadija radiallahu anha passed away, he had the most severe sadness in his entire life, to the extent that they called that year the year of sadness, which was the year when he ﷺ lost Khadija. Now, people would say, oh, come on, I know a lot of examples like this. But the thing here is that why was he actually, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, why was he very much afflicted by her death, despite the fact that he sallallahu alaihi wasallam was younger than her, and despite the fact that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was offered any woman for marriage, because he was the Prophet, so every woman would just love to be his wife. So he sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he lost Khadija, he lost really his soulmate. And that he found in Khadija a lot of things that he would never find in other women. To the extent that when Aisha radiallahu anha said to him, Ya Rasulullah, every time I impress you with something, you try to remember Khadija. He ﷺ got married to Aisha, which and Aisha was a virgin, whereas Khadija was not virgin when he got married to her. And in their time, marrying with virgin is more, is more beloved to people than just to marry with someone who had a past experience of marriage. But yet, he ﷺ, every time that he enjoys something from his wife, he just cannot control remembering something nice with Khadija after her death. So Aisha radiallahu anha said, every time I impress you with something, I feel like I'm doing something like very, very new to you, and then all I hear is you remember Khadija in your dua. So who was Khadija? And he ﷺ said that there isn't any person in this life that can compensate me with the loss of Khadija. And he ﷺ used to remember her until his death. So he lived after her about 13 years, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and then he passed away. So even towards his death, whenever Khadija's sister or Khadija's friends passed by the house of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he would bring anything possible from his home as a gift to those people. Because by just him giving them a gift, he would remember the name of Khadija radiallahu anha wa ardaha. So she was not really the one that made his sexual life nice. No, she was more of the source of mercy, tranquility, and affection, radiallahu anha wa ardaha. And in fact, Khadija radiallahu anha was the first person to believe in Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When the revelation came and Jibreel asked him, "Iqra, read, O Muhammad," he went back to his home, and the very first person that he went to seek help through was Khadija radiallahu anha. So she was his soulmate, she was his supporter, she was the first one to believe in him. She was the one who brought him to Waraq ibn Nawfal and told him, could you talk to my uncle, because he is a Christian from those who were really following the true Christianity. And he helped Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he was among the first believers from the men. She was the one who told Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I swear by Allah, Allah will never disgrace you. Why? She told him, because I saw you, how you connect to your kith and kin, how you are good to the neighbors, how you are helping the needy wherever they are, and I swear by Allah that Allah will never disgrace a person who have those qualities. Now, most of the time, people now, when they get married to, or when they have, a spouse relationship, their talk is, no, you will be okay, you will be okay. Oh dear, don't worry. But those are more empty words. They mean nothing. Like if I tell my wife after she got, for example, threatened, I say, no, you will be okay, don't worry. Why shouldn't she worry? If I'm just saying this with nothing in mind, then it's an empty word. But Khadija radiallahu anha was the person who would remind Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, even though he was the Prophet, she would remind him with things that are very, very supporting him sallallahu alaihi wasallam at the hardest and most difficult times. So remembering this, and then of course there are plenty of different stories between Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Khadija, and of course between Fatima and Ali, between Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Aisha, and other incidents in the history of Islam. Any question? Okay. So purpose of Islam. We talked about this in the past slide. Now, develop yourself first. Okay, so probably here we start with this. So how do I get my first steps straightened? How do I get myself really prepared for finding my soulmate? And this applies to both men and women. And perhaps if there's anything to emphasize, it's actually purify yourself first. Like if you are looking for the likes of Fatima, the daughter of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, then you must be the like of Ali. You just cannot ask for the greatest woman when you are just one in the middle. Similarly, any woman who would love to have someone of the likes of Ali radiallahu anhu, she must be of the like of Fatima. And that is actually where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rewards people in this dunya before the akhirah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives you from the bounties of this dunya the way that you deserve. So for those who have made every possible thing to be the righteous and the most righteous spouses, Allah will give them in this dunya before the hereafter. So that's an important thing. I mean, many people that I have been talking to, they just have dreams. I mean, a man is like, oh, inshallah, I will get the most righteous wife. She's going to be the most wealthy, healthy, brightest, most beautiful, and all those different things. And you look at him, he's, subhanAllah, a very, I mean, a below average person. And even his salah is not really something that a person can be proud of. Like, if you cannot be the right person, the righteous one, don't ask for a righteous woman. Just start on yourself. Similarly, for a woman, the same thing. Like a woman that does not put hijab, she should not be expecting a man who is God-fearing, or someone who fears Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in every transaction, in every treatment that he would do with his woman. I mean, because the reason a man might be looking for a woman who does not put hijab is because he prefers beauty over religion, which means that maybe he will find this woman to be very, mashallah, very beautiful, but then maybe a year after that he may find someone who is more beautiful, and is a human. So if the foundation of the marriage at the beginning was not straightforward, was not really true, was not good, then you should not expect that this marriage will last for a long time. So a woman who is interested in a man who is rich, who has a sporty car, who has a job, who is very, mashallah, high in his position, that person might lose all of that. And this marriage will go into corruption. Because in none of these things in dunya can survive or can stay the whole life. I mean, things would change. And he himself, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, was not always in good conditions. He had to go through disease, he had to go through poverty, he had to go through all of these. So, but really the thing that would continue with the person is their righteousness. So whether it is from the man side or from the woman's side, righteousness is the most important thing that someone should be looking for. And you need to start with yourself first. Righteousness is not just God-fearing. Righteousness actually is everything. Your akhlaq, your attitude, how you deal and interact with others, how do you feel towards others. I mean, unfortunately these days, many people have been engaged a lot in this social media. And in your social media, in your interaction with others through social media, you can always easily control what you post, what you say, the videos that you share with others. And you will filter them in a way that you always present yourself to be the best of human, right? But that does not really reflect your reality. And just because these days we meet with people more on the virtual social media than in reality, it's becoming more of a trend that people will just improve themselves on the things that will be exposed to all people, but other things that other problems that they have that people may not see through the social media, they just don't work on them. Like for example, if let's say I'm a stingy person, I have a lot of money, but I'm not a generous one. In my social media, perhaps one day in my whole life, I came to the masjid. Who's going to donate 1,000? I will do it. Takbir! And someone took a photo, and then I placed it in my Facebook. Takbir! Allahu Akbar! $1,000. And then everyone who would see this photo would think I'm the most generous person. And that's what we do. And that's why, by the way, that's why a man has to be carefully looking for what is beyond the picture, what is behind the cover. I'm not talking about how the woman would look behind the cover, but I'm more talking about behind the cover of the what appears from the akhlaq and whatnot. Similarly, from the woman's side, they should be doing the same. And in fact, in Islam, a woman is supposed to have what we call wali. Wali is more of a guardian, a male guardian that would help the woman to make her decision without being cheated by stealthy, filthy men. Because men are very easy, can easily pretend to be good people. I mean, I as a person, I can show you that I am, mashallah, a nice person. I respect everyone, and I'm a person who would choose my words, and I'm very generous. I will put everything in front of you that looks nice, but in reality, I go behind the scene, or I go with my own other friends, and then everything else is different. So most of the time, because of the innocence of women, they may think that the men are not lying or not cheating. So they may take things just from the very first look. I mean, unless they have experience, but I'm more talking about in general, women are more innocent than men when it comes to those things. And that's where, subhanAllah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made this importance of having a wali for the woman, so that the wali would help the woman to be sure that she is not being cheated or not being manipulated by the men. Okay, so strengthening your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, work on your character, on akhlaq, purify your intentions and actions. And remember this ayah in Quran, الطيبون للطيبات والطيبات للطيبين. That the good men are for good women and good women are for good men. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us among them. Ameen. Okay, so pray for guidance, dua. Dua is very important for all of us in everything. But when it comes to marriage, it's actually a super important one, because that dua is actually the thing that bi'idhnillah Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you better than what you intend. So even if your intention is righteous and good, Allah even will give you more and better than that through your dua. Salat al-istikhara, we're aware of this, right? Anyone did not hear about Salat al-istikhara before? Salat al-istikhara is where Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam told us that whoever is about to take a decision, right, on one of the worldly matters, then the person is expected to do a wudu and then pray 2 rak'ah. And then after the 2 rak'ah, the person would say, Allahumma inni astakhiruka bi'ilmik wa astaqdiruka biqudratik wa as'aluka min fadlika al-azim. A dua that says, Oh Allah, I ask you from the abundance of your knowledge. Oh Allah, I ask you to give me and make ease for me the thing that will be better for me in this dunya and in the hereafter. It's a longer dua that I can share inshallah with you if you like. But the nice thing about this is actually you make your dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you the best of the options. And then after you're almost like going into one direction, that's when you do istikhara. So for example, Ahmed came to Fatima and he proposed marriage. They got into all the different things they need to do, and then finally it seems that they are both comfortable. Before they make the final engagement or the final contract, both of the parties must do an istikhara in order to say, oh Allah, I did my part, and now I'm asking you, Ya Allah, to make it easy for me what is best in my life and in the hereafter. Okay, so a very important thing is actually to prioritize, to get your priorities in the right order. Rasul ﷺ has said that a woman might be seeked for marriage or might be married for 4 reasons. And he sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned for her wealth, for her family status, for her beauty, and for her religion. So he sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, marry the one who is religious and you will be prospering. I want to make sure that we understand that akhlaq, the etiquettes, the manners, the good characters are all part of the religion. We just cannot say that a person is religious but have no akhlaq. Actually, no akhlaq means no religion, right? Because the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam has said, أثقل ما يأتي في ميزان العبد يوم القيامة حسن الخلق. The heaviest thing that would come on the scale of a believer in the day of judgment is what? The good characters and manners. So don't be fooled by someone who says, as long as you are practicing Islam at the masjid and probably you are growing beard or making very nice hijab, then that's it. No, well, that's part of it. But it must come with good characters and manners. It must come with a great akhlaq. Whether those akhlaq are things that a person will show to others or akhlaq that are in their hearts. Meaning that they love for others what they love for themselves. They fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala even when they are by themselves and not exposed to the people. They always are honest, they are truthful. Even if no one would realize that they are doing mistakes, they will not do the mistakes. So that's that's the most important thing that you want to find in your partner. So a woman should be looking for that as the most important condition. Now, does that mean that this must be the only thing to look at? No, not at all. But this is the deal breaker, if you like. If there is no religion, no marriage. Period. And I mean, in our culture in Syria, especially in the latest years after all this Assad regime and how it damaged the society, unfortunately, there has been a trend where they say as long as the man has 4 keys or 3 keys or 2 keys sometimes, then we should be fine, and the religion is between the person and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Do you know what these keys mean? You know them? Office. And the fourth key is what? Bank account locker? No. Huh? Resort, exactly. Resort. To have a resort that you own. Like, for example, on the beach or, yeah. So this is for the very, very rich people. So if you have 4 keys, then khalas, you are guaranteed for marriage. وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ. And then when you ask them, so what did you leave for salat? They say this is between him and Allah. Allahu Akbar. Yeah. And that's why most of these marriages just get garbage. They probably will start with some very huge party and celebration and whatnot. It will only last for a couple of days, maybe a couple of weeks, maximum couple of months, maybe 2 years, and that's it. They are gone. Okay. Rasul ﷺ has said that الدنيا متاع وخير متاعها المرأة الصالحة, that this whole world is a temporary provision for everyone. But the best of that is to have a good, righteous spouse. Okay, any questions so far? No questions? Am I being very, very clear or what? Yes, go ahead. You can do it at any time, inshallah. I would like this to be interactive. Huh? Rasul ﷺ has said that the most blessed wedding is the one that costs you the least. أكثر الزواج بركة أقله مؤنة. Yeah. So whatever people are doing these days and spending thousands and thousands of dollars on a marriage to show off and copying what they, the way it happens nowadays in Hollywood and all that. It's it's a disaster. It's a recipe of sabotaging the marriage from the very first week. Yeah. Yes, sister. Oh yeah. أكثر الزواج بركة أقله مؤنة. That the marriage that has the greatest barakah or blessings is the one that costs the least. Of course, so what is the purpose of doing a party for marriage? It's actually to announce it and to get people pleased. So if I can please people by inviting them for dinner, like a normal dinner, maybe above average dinner, that's fine. As long as it is, for the purpose of getting everyone to be happy and make the public announcement. That's all what the wedding party is all about in Islam. But other things like choosing the best hotel for it and bringing the DJ and Allahu Akbar and making all those dancing and whatnot and bringing the limousine car or the Bugatti and putting all those type of coloring and astaghfirullah al-azim. This actually is a recipe of disaster, wallahi. I know people may feel happy because they were able to get the attention of others, that look, mashallah, my marriage was like one of a kind, that no one did equal. But subhanAllah, Allah will take the barakah out of it. And then maybe the next 2 or 3 weeks, you will find that those two get into trouble. And I know, and perhaps you already have heard about a situation where during the wedding party itself, a divorce has happened. During the wedding party. Because people are there for the wedding party because they just want to show off. And this is absolutely un-Islamic. I know many Muslims do it, but it's un-Islamic. It is just against what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from us. Did I answer your question? Absolutely. Let them take the money and enjoy it themselves, or make a sadaqah, or invest in something useful for them. Of course, yeah. What? Oh, mashallah. Okay, yes, Sister Jannah, go ahead and ask. No, Sister Barakallah Fiki, no, that's a great question, and I'm sorry if in any way I did not explain it the right way. So the Khadija was the one who lived with Rasulullah ﷺ the longest time, and she she was the first wife, and that's why the examples that we have with Khadija are more than the others. But of course, Rasulullah had great marriage lessons from Aisha, from Salama, from all of his wife, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But Khadija is usually mentioned because of the longest period of time of marriage, and because she was the first wife. And frankly, let's put it very, very straightforward. The Rasul ﷺ said that she is among the best 4 women ever that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created. So who were the best 4 women? Anyone can remember? Maryam alayha salatu wassalam is the first one. And Asya, the wife of the Pharaoh. And who else? Khadija, of course. And who else? And Fatima, radiallahu anha wa ardaha. Yes. Okay. طيب. Let's go to the next, inshallah. Be honest about intentions. Yeah. So I think that I already alluded to this, that you really need to know what exactly your marriage is all about and why you want to get married. And that's where you purify your intention, that this is only to get married and not to just play around. I mean, unfortunately, we've seen this, and that some of our youth, especially the male, I mean, it applies to both, but especially the males, they try to play around. So they go to different families and they say, I want to get your daughter's hand in marriage. Can we pursue this? And after he, have whatever he wants, from that he would like, okay, no, I'm no more interested. And that actually is unfortunately becoming a trend these days. And some of them do pursue more than one engagement at the same time. Yes? Yes, unfortunately. By the way, how is that different from people who are having multiple girlfriends at the same time? This is very common, right? So when a person says, I am Muslim, but Islam is not in their heart, they won't be any different from anyone else. So the fact they call Muslim does not necessarily mean that they apply and practice Islam. Okay. Okay, and I pointed out this is very important. There shouldn't be unnecessary interactions between the opposite gender without a wali. And what I mean by this is that perhaps a man could be, for example, at his workplace or at his education institution, and he could see a woman that maybe he may think that this is a good fit for him, right? There's no harm whatsoever to say, Assalamu alaikum, is it possible to know your father, to get to know your father? That's fine. There's no harm with this. But you need to cut that into the minimum that possible. Anything beyond that, with some intention of marriage, should be eliminated. So, in other words, a man should not invite a woman to go and have a cup of coffee. They shouldn't be doing this. They can do that with the presence of a wali, a father, a brother, someone who is like a male guardian from the sister's side. Why? Because most of the time, those who would like to have a cup of coffee, they have some other interest. And they want to get as much of lust as possible. So Islam protects women by having a wali. And I want to make it very clear, what is the role of wali? Wali cannot enforce a woman or his daughter, for example, to get married to a person. Cannot. But the wali can protect his daughter by saying, even if you are interested in this man, I want to make you aware that he does not seem to be a righteous one. And then that's where he, with the trust that his daughter has in him, he can, educate her and raise her awareness until she is convinced either way. So that's the purpose of a wali. A wali is there to protect, raise the awareness, give his daughter the male perspective, the perspective from the male side, so that she will not be just, taking things for granted. Okay. Now we have follow the proper etiquette or adab. So again, there is no harm for a man to talk to a woman if there is respect, if there isn't anything that talks about like sexual gestures or things of that nature. So if someone says, I'm interested in getting to know your father, I'm interested in getting to know your family. Is it possible that I get the phone number of dad or someone, a male relative here? Or a person may say, well, mom or my sister, I found this lady at work or at my university, and I feel attracted. Can you check if this might be a right fit for me? And then the mother or the sister or the relative can meet with this lady and can have some conversation and maybe at least to check the first steps, right? So that is where things really start when there is Ali. That's when things really start, when there is a potential match. And usually things happen when people meet together in somewhere. I mean, I have heard about love stories, true Islamic love stories that have started at the marketplace. But here's the thing. The thing that differentiates an Islamic love story from just any love story is that the Islamic one starts with maybe one glance, but then the man and the woman will lower their gazes. They will not just make another, a second and third and fourth. They will not be doing any of those un-Islamic meetings or un-Islamic chatting or exchanging of numbers. That doesn't happen Islamically. But what happens is, yes, love could be thrown to your heart from just one glance. It could, of course, it does. And you never know, perhaps this great picture that have been now instilled in your heart and in your mind, it could be the right one, and it could also be from shaitan, right? So that's why a person should lower their gaze, should be very respectful. There's no harm for them to just ask to pursue more of an introduction, but it has to be through the wali. Okay, so involve the wali, which is the guardian. Avoid seclusion, no khalwa. And again, having a cup of coffee, even though there are people around you, but this is considered khalwa. You know why? Because in America, no one cares if you sit with whoever you want, right? So if someone takes a lady to Panera or to whatever the other place, their ruling that they have is almost like a khalwa, because they can do anything they want. They go to sometimes public places on the beach and they can do anything they want. So when we say khalwa in Islam or in Arabic, we mean when they sit together in a place where if they do something wrong, that at least people will say, what are you doing here, right? So they will actually think twice before they do it. But if they go in that khalwa place, or in that khalwa position, then they don't care. And in America, if they go anywhere, it's almost like khalwa. Maybe not exactly, but it's almost like khalwa. As opposed to if you were in Mecca, for example. If you want to even hold the hand of your wife in Mecca, you will think twice. You don't want people to think that you are holding a girlfriend hand, right? So people, it always, we need to respect the fact that we don't want shaitan, we don't want to empower shaitan to whisper to us and la samahallah get us to do things that are not Islamically appropriate. So that's why we should avoid any position that we have with the opposite gender unless there is a wali, because the presence of the wali will prevent from going that direction. Okay. Set boundaries in interaction, no physical touch. It's haram. It's haram for a man to even shake a hand of a woman who is not a mahram, who is not like a close relative or not a wife. It's haram. I know many people in Muslim countries are unfortunately not following that, but it is haram. And Aisha radiallahu anha has narrated, Wallahi ma massat yadu Rasulillahi sallallahu alaihi wasallam yad imra'atin qat. I swear by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that the hand of Prophet Muhammad never touched the hand of a woman who was foreign to him. Never. Who was the most pious person? No one better than Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Who was the one who can control his affairs and will never be deceived, and his shaitan became Muslim? It was him sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Yet he never touched with his hand a hand of a woman that was foreign to him. Okay, so how about this? Do you like to take maybe 5 minutes of a break, or do you like me to continue? Continue. Anyone would like to go for a break? 5 minutes? Do we have something? I don't know. Do we have, Ali, can you check if we have any refreshments? Dr. Mursi, do we have any refreshment? Sweets. Okay, so if you don't need a break, we can keep them until after we finish and we get them right at. Would that work? Are we all okay, sisters? Okay. So look for compatibility and kafa'a. So we did talk about looking for what? Religion. Looking for akhlaq. Also, you may consider above and beyond that, you may consider beauty. Of course, that's your right. You may consider wealthiness. You can consider family status. All these are valid reasons for a person to consider, whether from the man's side or from the woman's side. But one of the things that you also need to be considering is kafa'a, is compatibility. And compatibility actually goes into dunya and in the deen. So let me give you an example of this. Socially speaking, there are different family status or different family levels. Some of them are maybe very conservative, others are very liberal, right? And I'm talking about family, I'm not talking about the individual. Like a person could be very pious, very mashallah religiously practicing, but their family might be very open, very liberal, right? And the family of the other side might be just the opposite. Those are things that could be considered in marriage, actually are important to consider during marriage. And the reason for this is because usually those may bring some dispute towards the end. I give you one example. I know about a couple who are, mashallah, both of them are very righteous. Very righteous. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed them with some children. The problem with their children is that every time they go to the one side parents, the parents are not actually willing to wake them up for Salat al-Fajr. They say this is too much. We don't like that. So the spouse from the other family was like, I just cannot trust my in-laws about my children, because they are actually pushing them not to even pray Salat al-Fajr. And it caused a big dispute between them. Because on one hand, the spouse is saying this is actually ruining their akhlaq and their deen. But on the other hand, the other side of the spouse is saying, but those are my parents. I just cannot, stay away from my parents. And I want my children to grow up knowing this is the grandma and grandpa, or grandmother and grandfather. I just cannot stay away from this. Yes, we can educate our children, we can try to push, but I just cannot stop my children from going to their grandparents. So we have those issues sometimes go to the extent of divorce. And what I'm trying to say is that compatibility in many aspects, so I hear values, religious commitments, family expectations, lifestyle, all of these may come down the road to make your life a bit difficult. Perhaps at the beginning, all what you see is, I want this lady, or I want this man. I see everything beautiful in this person, but you're not looking at anything above and beyond this. So at the time of marriage, things may go very well, but then later, you never know what's going to happen. Now, a frequent question is this going to be a reason not to accept marriage? And the answer is no. The answer is no, because it's always situation dependent. Like I give you example. If you were to get married to a spouse, and then the family of one side is corrupt, but the two spouses are, mashallah, great. And your plan is really to go and live somewhere very far. Then most likely the impact of the family of either the spouse will not have its way to the children, right? Because you're living away. But if you were to live next to them and you live perhaps sometimes in the same house, then no, you need to take that into consideration. And I have seen it in some cultures, by the way. The wife lives in the same house of the husband, which is actually not the husband's wife, it's the husband's house, it is the house of his father. This is very common, right? So what if the husband's father or mother were not good, or they were mistreating people, or they were known for doing something haram? I mean, you need to put that into consideration, because it may turn your life all miserable. Okay. Similarly, it goes with like shared goals. What do you think, like compatibility in the sense of what am I thinking about children and whatnot? I give you example. Medical doctors like to, sometimes they like to get married to medical doctors, and sometimes they just say, my only one condition is that my spouse will not be a medical doctor. And you know why? Because medical doctor lifestyle is different. So some of them enjoy it, some of them hate it. So they say, if I don't like my lifestyle, and then my wife comes with the same lifestyle, I don't want that marriage. It's going to be a burden on me. Because they know that neither of them will be ready to take care of the children or take care of the house and whatnot. So that makes the life very difficult. So those are things that a person should be taking into consideration. Like, what are your expectations of life, of children, of time management, money management, all those things. You need to really make sure that you are engaging with the right partner that actually share with you the same objectives and goals. Any question? Am I going fine? Should I go faster? Okay, good, alhamdulillah. طيب, as the right, I'm sorry, this is ask. There's a missing K. Ask the right questions. So that's the time when you are trying to get to know the other party. And this is actually in front of the wali. This should not happen by you going to a place and take a cup of coffee, with the other partner alone. You should not be doing this, because she or he is still not halal for the other party, right? So So things like what you like you ask, you know the 100 questions, you know that those. Okay, well some of them are valuable, to be honest. Some of them are valuable, but they are not meant to be like truly prioritizing your Islamic spirit, right? And I do believe that the very first thing that you want to verify is whether or not this is an Islamic fit for you, right? So you want to know, what does prayer mean to the other party? Is it at the highest priority level, or is it something that they can give up, or they can just mishandle at any point in time? Similarly, fasting, charity, and other things, family life, expectations of raising children, lifestyle, the career, finances, conflict resolution. How do you handle disagreements? Let me ask one of you a question. You. Yeah. So, are you married? Not yet. Okay, this is a perfect fit for you, inshallah. So, when you go into a disagreement, do you have a sister at your house, close to your age? Okay, have you ever got a dispute with her? Many times. Who wins the argument?
We usually just stop.
You usually stop.
One person just goes silent and then it's over.
And it's usually you or her?
We take turns.
You take turns, mashallah, very open-minded. Okay, so how do you handle conflict resolution?
So
You yell on each other?
that's the strong thing to do.
Who goes like, who can win it? Is it the one who is stronger in the, what?
Getting louder is a sign that you're losing.
You're losing.
You're not able to say something.
Oh, that's great. I like this. Okay, so you have a sense of conflict resolution, by the way. Okay, what else?
Sometimes some things are not worth arguing over. If it's something silly, like
Okay, then you just don't extend your argument.
I'll give an example with the sister. You know why I was going to eat this. You ate this instead of me. That was mine. I set that in the fridge. That was for me. You ate this. It's something simple like, it was my turn to eat this, but you took it instead. Oh, fine.
MashaAllah. And she does the same with you, or you are the best person usually?
We take turns.
You take turn, okay. So now you have a case where you really disputed and you didn't have any resolution. What do? You go you do escalation to your parents?
If it's something major that something a lot more than you ate my banana, whatever, then you try to involve someone else, and maybe ask mom, hey, this is what we have a dispute about this, what do you think?
Okay, so you escalate.
Like ask for advice, not trying to turn it into a fight more.
Okay. So that's one way to do things, right? I mean, another way would be, to review things at the time when you are both calm. I mean, there are multiple ways, right? And I think it's an art. And talking with the partner about scenarios. Like, tell me in your life a scenario where you were in dispute with someone. Like, how do you resolve that? And it could be with a sister, it could be with a brother, whatever it is, inshallah. So that's one of the arguments. I mean, I just pretended to talk to you the way that perhaps a person would be talking to a future wife, inshallah, or potential wife. So yeah, this is one of them.
Actually, since you mentioned that, in meetings like these, there are certain very important things. If we can't agree on, then maybe not go forward with this. Like, for example, if the other party wants to have a big wedding with the music and the DJ, then no. This is not something we're going to. If we cannot compromise on this, this is what the dean says, but you want this instead, then we can't move forward.
Yeah.
And if we can't compromise on this, then
Yeah. So let me tell you what I usually try to recommend for people is that get prepared with your red lines. And everyone would have their own red lines. In my situation, one of the hardest red line is the relationship between the girl and her parents. If she is not a very a great daughter, I would say no. Because if she cannot be respectful to her parents, let alone her future husband. So this was one of the hardest red lines for me. And I found this to be always applicable to people. I mean, you want someone who is lenient, someone who is flexible, someone who can, yes, as you said, we can take turns. I don't have to be the winner all the time. I'm willing to go with your opinion only to keep that good relationship. That sense actually is very important. You mentioned something about parties and DJ and all that stuff. I think you can tell about this even before you go to the point where you ask about what is going to happen in the party. Because in my mind, a person who does not listen to music and a person who is always at the masjid, if this is a boy or a man, or a person who wears hijab in a very modest way, and I'm talking now about the sister, most likely those kind of people will not do that DJ thing. So you will know really ahead of time. DJ is for people who are more into this dunya, right? Unfortunately, it's very common these days. We always ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide all of us, but you should be prepared with your red lines. You must. And here's the thing. I still remember when I got married, one of my friends we were talking about what my red lines are and what his red lines were. So one of the things he was trying to convince me was, listen, if you find that this family has a TV in their home, then this is not the right place for you. At my time, we didn't have cable. So TV means either you see the regular TV channel or you have video. And at my time, it was very modest, very practicing, and I used to live in Saudi Arabia. So for us, we had a very different level of practicing Islam. So at that point in time, I asked him, why do you think this would be a red line? He said, because if the lady is always like watching TV and whatnot, then she will be wasting her time. I said, but that could be something we can figure out. He insisted that this is his red line. I insisted that this is not something that I should be very picky on, as long as there is willingness to be more serious in life and to take things in the positive way and all that stuff. SubhanAllah, I got married. Yes, both my family and her family had TV in the past, but we didn't use TV for haram. It was for halal, alhamdulillah. And things were very good. He got married to a sister who did not have TV at her home, but they had some other implicit issues in their akhlaq that, subhanAllah, after 1 year of marriage, they got a baby and then they got divorced. And until now, when I see him, I'm like, how is your daughter? And he would cry. Because now he had to then live away from his daughter. Yeah, so be prepared to have your red lines, but in a reasonable way, and make sure that this is not coming from just being stubborn on things. Being like, have a rationale, like, why do you want this red line, right? Mm-hmm. And my red lines may not necessarily be exactly your red lines, because we are different, but I think there are common red lines. Piety would be one of them. Being great in akhlaq and characters and manners is one of them. Modesty is one of them. No arrogance is one of them. Especially being easy to deal with is very important one. Sometimes you see religious practicing, you see some maybe superficial akhlaq, But once you come into dealing with, closer things, or closely deal with the person, then you find a different personality. Okay. Now, I think this is very related to what we were just saying. When you do your red lines, when you do your set of expectations, be realistic. Don't just ask for an angel to get married to. You just cannot have that. And so Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, لا يفرق مؤمن مؤمنة إن عاب منها خلقا رضي منها خلقا آخر. That a person should not hate the other party just because of one thing that they could not come to agreement to. If a person finds in the other party something that they don't like, then they should consider all the other things that they would like. And there's no perfect person. And by the way, although this is meant to be between the couple, it actually applies with all people. Like, why would I love even my son? Why would I love him if he has a problem in some behavior? Because he has many other behaviors that he is doing very well. And I have to remind myself. My son is looking at me. Akhi, it's not about you, it's about your brother. طيب. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Any question? Yes, go ahead, sister. I can't see you, sister, so just say the question. Go ahead. So the sister is asking about some practice or some habits of people where they threaten their wives by saying, if you don't do this, then I will get married to a second or third or fourth wife. Is that what you're saying? I mean, this person, if someone is using the ruling of polygamy to threaten his wife, I think if I were the judge, I will take him to jail. This is not an attitude of a Muslim, let alone even a non-Muslim. This is not the attitude of a non-Muslim, let alone a Muslim. And the reason for this, sister, is that, okay, polygamy is not our topic, but I want to just say a few words here. Polygamy in Islam has its own conditions and actually own description and own rulings. It's not just like, okay, I want to have more than one girl and for sexual reasons and then I just do it. No, it's not like that. It doesn't go that way. And on top of this, if you live in a country where this is not legal, then you have to abide with that. You just cannot practice something illegal and say, I'm actually using my Islamic or religious teaching. So what I would like to say, to just make everyone, inshallah, at least have this piece of understanding about polygamy, is that the ayah that talks about polygamy is in Surah An-Nisa. And in that ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَإِنْ خِفْتُمْ أَلَّا تُقْسِطُوا فِي الْيَتَامَى فَانْكِحُوا مَا طَابَ لَكُم مِّنَ النِّسَاءِ مَثْنَى وَثُلَاثَ وَرُبَاعَ فَإِنْ خِفْتُمْ أَلَّا تَعْدِلُوا فَوَاحِدَةً. Allah talks about a situation, a scenario, where a man wants to get married to an orphan girl. And the man is not willing to give this orphan girl the enough level of dowry, or the enough amount of dowry, because he thinks she is an orphan and no one is going to care about this, right? And because she is an orphan, she would just accept anything. Allah says, don't do this, because this is injustice. Don't ever do it. Even if you like her so much, you just cannot be unjust to her. And if you cannot survive without her, and you will not be paying her just like how someone similar should be paid who is not orphan, then at that point in time, it is permissible to take a second wife. But then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and up to 4, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, but if you will not be also just, if you will not be dealing with justice with all those 4 wives, then you must go back to just 1. So you should not deal with injustice to the orphan, and you should not be dealing with injustice to more than 1 wife. So the whole ayah is about importance of justice. Unfortunately, many of today's men, they just don't understand the merit of the ayah, and they keep arguing, keep making jokes about having second wife, third wife, fourth wife, when they themselves are always practicing injustice, not only with their spouses, but with themselves, with their friends, and with everyone else. So the only thing that has been stated in Sharia about getting married to more than 1 wife was in order to minimize injustice in society. And that's why Rasulullah ﷺ, when he got married to more than 1 wife, you can tell he did not get married to them because of their beauty, because of their age, young age, because of their wealth. No, not at all. The only virgin lady that he ﷺ got married to was Aisha, nothing else. All of the others were older than him, widowed, sick. I mean, it was for social justice. So that's the merit of having more than 1 wife. It's not for sexual desire. I hope that we understand it this way, inshallah. Okay. Consult a family and trusted advisor. I think this is very obvious, and the reason I have to talk about it more is because most of the time people think that this is my personal thing. Yes, it is your personal decision. You want to get married, especially from the men's side, from the male side, I mean. But remember, not having experience with marriage means that you most likely will be repeating other people's mistake. And the person who knows the best about you is the one who grew you up, meaning father or mother. Because as a person, I may have some attitudes that perhaps I myself don't know about them, but maybe my mother have observed them during my childhood. So when I grow up, the best person who can tell me who I am is the one who lived with me the most, especially during my childhood, and that must be the parents. So getting the parents involved is very crucial. Now the other side of the problem here is that sometimes the parents have their own pre-arranged marriage plan, right? They say, I mean, in some cultures, when the baby boy is born, they immediately say, okay, this boy is going to get married to this girl. I'm sorry, they usually do that with the girl, not with the boy. So when the girl gets born, gets her birth, they would say, this girl must get married to this boy. How did you make this plan? That's a culture. Is this Islamically correct? No, it's not correct. But they do it, unfortunately. So when it's very frequent that some Muslim youth come to me and they say, I don't believe in the person that they wanted me to get married to. I just want to have my own freedom of choosing. So is it mandatory for me to listen to my parents about who I should get married to? And the answer is, it depends. If your parents want you to get married to a certain, for example, spouse, because they know about the religion, they know about akhlaq, they know about attitude and all that stuff, then you should listen to them. Or at least consider that. But if all what they're doing is more just culture, you don't have to. You see that the point, inshallah? Now, trusted advisors is perhaps more of a neutral person that may give you a better perspective about the marriage plan. An imam could be one, a therapist could be one sometimes, especially a Muslim therapist, by the way. Any therapist may not be the right person, because nowadays, unfortunately, therapists have to deal with a lot of un-Islamic things, and they have their own ruling on what to say and what not to say. Okay. Trust in Allah. Tawakkul. See this ayah, وَعَسَىٰ أَن تَكْرَهُ شَيْئًا وَهُوَ خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ. That sometimes we dislike things, and all the khair and barakah are in those things that we dislike. This is very important. This is a whole life experience. That sometimes you want to get married to a certain man or to a certain woman, or you want to you would like to get admitted to a certain school, or you are applying for a certain job and you have a special interest in that job. You want to do some trading and whatnot, and didn't work. You want to start business and didn't work. Sometimes you say, "Oh, I missed it." But you know what? Perhaps this is for your own goodness. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the only one who knows about wisdom of those things. In the future, you may say, Alhamdulillah, I didn't go that way. I know of a person very close, dear to my heart, who was desperate, wallahi, to get married to one girl. MashaAllah, she was from a good family. Her parents were among the greatest. The girl was bright at her school. I mean, everything in dunya is there, even in the akhirah. And subhanAllah, Allah didn't plan this to go. When they were doing the proposal, it just didn't work. So he got so mad for several years. And then he came to me just very recently. He said, Sheikh, alhamdulillah, I did not get married to this lady. I said, what happened? He said, I happen to be in the same city, or like visiting the city where her parents live, and I found out, Naam Habib, inshallah, and I found out that she took off her hijab, and she is no more praying, and she left her family, and she wanted to live alone. And I was like, subhanAllah, how could anyone know about this? You probably were thinking that this would be the best wife ever I have, because mashallah, her family, because of all the different parameters in the equation. But it's only Allah who knows the future. It's only Allah who knows what is best for you. Okay, now be patient and persistent. How long do you think seeking marriage or trying to find a good girl or good man for marriage takes, on average? How long do you think? How much? 3 to 6 months. 3 to 6 months? You're so optimistic. You're so optimistic. I know it goes for years. I mean, unless you probably have some, like a lot of family contacts, and not only that, you probably may have, your parents might have already helped you very, very quick. But in today's time, frankly speaking, especially when the parents are not helping, it takes maybe 3 to 5, sometimes more years. Yeah. And the reason for this is because people are now relying on what? Muslima.com. Astaghfirullah. This is a matching website, which is not good. But they have multiple matrimonial services, and you just go, you don't know who is there, and you need to know about them. And most likely what happens is that you start certain paths, and then you find out that this was not the right thing. So you have to repeat the experience again and again, and it takes you a few years to do this. That's what I have been observing. People who have more family relationship and the parents are helping and they have a lot of friends and whatnot, usually it takes much less. But the average that I'm seeing is about 3 to 4 years. So don't give up and don't feel that you are weird and it's not really working for you. It might be working for others. If you have consistency and you have patience and you have persistence, then inshallah one day it will come. And when it comes, it becomes the perfect match, inshallah. Bismillah. And Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu had a statement. He said, وَجَدْنَا خَيْرَ عَيْشِنَا بِالصَّبْرِ, that we have found that the thing that would beautify our life and make us comfortable and happy with our life is only when we apply patience. Because this whole life is full of different things, right, that you may dislike. And among them is not having or not finding the right partner easily. Now, last slide, inshallah, or second to last, use Islamic matrimonial services. ISGH has started. Now, I'm not making an advertisement, but I just really want to say out loud that ISGH has started a new matrimonial service, and I think they have a sign over there at the front door, inshallah. And they will have an event in the coming few days. The way they do it is that each one can create their own profile. They try to help people to do some matching. It goes double-blinded. Double-blinded means that you can see profile of others who might be matching, but you don't know their name, they don't know your name. So it preserves privacy between them. And once there is a real mutual interest in the two profiles from both sides, at that point in time, they enable the father or the guardian of the woman to know the man in interest, and then they can meet and they can see how they can pursue with that if they find it to be really a good match. So, alhamdulillah, jazakumullah khair, the brother Waqar and his wife and sister Anila have been leading this effort across ISGH, across the whole city, Houston, and they are just launching it. They did review this, the whole model with me, and mashallah, they're doing above and beyond. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala preserve them. I'm not saying that they are the only matrimonial service that is good. There are multiple others, but perhaps this is a good handy one here in Houston that you might be leveraging, or you might be even telling people about. The one important thing on all those matrimonial services is actually to make sure that that the people who are leading it are aware of the Islamic rulings. And alhamdulillah, those brother Waqar and his wife Anila have been doing a marvelous job in making it compliant to Sharia as well as being compatible, inshallah. So with that said, remember this ayah. Can you read it? Anyone can read this? So always have hope and dua, and remember this ayah. What does it say? Inna rahmatallah qareebun min al-muhsinin. Verily, the mercy of Allah is so close to the good doers. So when you are righteous, Allah's mercy is close to you. So don't give up. And this is not only in marriage, this is in everything. وَمَن يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا. Whoever fears Allah, Allah will give them a way out from any difficulty or any tranquility that from any problem that they have. Okay, so with that, we're done. Any question, inshallah, before we go for salatu? Yes, sister, go ahead. Yes. Yeah. So, in general, Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam has said, "Innama ta'atu fil ma'ruf." Innama ta'atu fil ma'ruf. That for a woman to obey her husband, or for even a man to obey his father, or whatever, it has to be bil ma'ruf. And bil ma'ruf means that it is within two boundaries: the Islamic boundary and the human boundary. So, for example, if a father says to his, or if a husband says to his wife, "I don't like your parents, I don't want you to visit them," is that permissible? Absolutely not. So his ask, his request, is not something that the woman should be listening to. Now, she can be respectful. She might be more trying to at least, contain the problem. She may say, "What if we do? How about that?" And all that stuff. I mean, she may do it because she just does not want to ruin the marriage. But the bottom line, any ask that is not Islamically acceptable, the woman should just say, "No, I cannot do it." So things like, for example, if the man is asking the woman also to do things that are not in her capability. Like I know sometimes some men are very harsh when it comes to asking the woman to, for example, stay awake for a long time or do some very difficult things at the home. The man cannot ask for this. But at the same time, Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that the best among the wives are those who would listen to their husbands at the times when they are being asked for things that please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, خير النساء من إذا أمرتها طاعتك وإذا نظرت إليها سرتك وإذا تركتها حفظتك في دينها وفي مالك في عرضها وفي مالك. So the hadith says that the best among wives are those who, when you ask them for some favor, they would be very willing to do it. When you look at them, they will be the one that will please your heart. And when you leave them, or when you have to leave them, then they are the most honest one, especially when it comes on money spending or preserving their, the privacy. So إنما الطاعة في المعروف. There's a condition that it should not go above and beyond what Sharia asks, and also not to go above and beyond what the woman herself as a human can do. So abuse is never accepted in Islam. That is more of a framework. Now, when it comes to single questions, like specific questions, then we may go to things like, what is common in that area? So, for example, let's say that we live here in America, and a wife finds that in no way she can stay without education, right? And she just say, okay, I need my education because there's no other venue for me to survive. Can the man say no to her? Well, I mean, the man can negotiate things because the man in Islam is the one who should provide for the family, right? Then and the woman is probably helping somewhere else. So they can talk together in a way that they come to a common ground where, okay, for this time, the man will be helping for at home so that the woman can have her time to do other things. I mean, those things can happen in certain society more than other societies. So what might be applicable here may not be applicable, for example, in Brazil. What might be applicable there may not be applicable in Egypt, and so on. So that's the framework. Is there any specific question? Go ahead.
Are you ready?
Anyone?
Yes. So I don't know if this is for next session, but I'd like to know how to bring up the subject of mahr in like detail, like how do you get to the limit and the adab about the question, and about like the earnings and like the like so that you can get some of your red flags answered. I don't know like the specific questions I can ask within the like
Yeah. So I think the question is, could the question about what your expectation of dowry be an acceptable question within the boundaries of manners during the time of engagement, right? Okay. So actually, it may depend on the culture, but I think from the vast majority of what I have seen, it's absolutely expected. And if they make it unexpected, that's actually against the Islamic Sharia. Because Islamically speaking, there need to be some transparency. So I tell you one example, sister. In many situations, people defer this to the last thing. And then unfortunately, they spend a long time in knowing each other. And sometimes giving gifts left and right. And then when they come to the point where they say, okay, what is the expected dowry? They say, anything you want, anything. We will treat you like my sister, And then when it comes to the numbers, the specific numbers, that's when all the dispute starts. No, you're so stingy. How come? No, you are expecting a lot. Am I a bank? I'm not a bank. I'm just a human. And I'm just new at my work. And all those type of arguments I have heard dozens of times. And unfortunately, had this have happened earlier, it could have actually saved them a lot of hassle and a lot of unnecessary, back and forth arguments. So, of course, even if it is not expected culture-wise, it is expected Islamically-wise.
But how do you talk about the dollar amount?
I mean, you can. It doesn't have to be a dollar amount. It's actually whatever you agree together. So, for example, you can talk about gold. You can talk about an diamond ring. You can talk about dollar amount. You can talk about anything you want, right? As long as the two parties are in agreement, you should be fine. And usually, sister, to be honest with you, and we can talk about this privately, inshallah. Usually, there are certain levels of social and I would say cultural accepted ranges, right? So there are people whose ranges are maybe 1,000 to 5,000. There are others who go 5,000 to 20,000. I have seen some marriages that go as 7 figures. So it all depends on the culture and the social status, different factors. But remember, the zawaj or the marriage that goes with less spending has more barakah. Umar ibn Khattab in his time wanted to put a limit. So one lady said, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, Allah has made this permissible for us to determine between us what we want. Why would you stop us from doing this? So he kept quiet for some time, and he said, "You are right and I am wrong, so I'll leave it to you." So that was Umar. So in other words, sister, it can be left for the people with what they see is appropriate, but it is very recommended that those type of discussion do not get postponed till the very furthest end, inshallah. Okay, last question, go ahead. Yeah, yeah.
The men says they like volunteering in the Masjid and helping their friends outside.
Yeah.
They don't like helping their wife.
Yeah. So the question is about men who are afraid of helping at home because they probably are not used to it, or they don't like to do it, or they might be labeled as, oh, they obey their wives. Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was described as his wife, and by his closest Sahaba, after a question, what was the practice of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam for the most part of his time? And the answer was, كان في خدمة أهله, that he was at the service of his wife, of his family. So he saw Sallam, the most busy person, the person who was entrusted to deliver the message to all humanity. For the most of his time, he was at the service of his own family. So if we cannot have a role model in Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, I don't know who will be our role model. And I think there are many misconceptions about this, and I told you that polygamy was one of them. So there are plenty of different things that unfortunately men these days are trying to propagate, and it is for nothing but to keep their own cultural aspects which have nothing to do with Islam. Okay, with that said, Jazakumullahu khairan, subhanakallahumma bihamdik, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk, wa sallallahu ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam taslima kathira.